Tonight, Australia remembers the Anzacs, 96 years after the Gallipoli landings. Thousands turn out for dawn services in Sydney despite the torrential rain. As a new generation applauds our military heroes, thanking them for their service.
Live from London, this is 7 News with Chris Barth.
Good evening. Australians around the world, including here in London, have united to mark ANZAC Day, honouring our fallen heroes and all those who've served. Tonight we have Sydney's dawn service and march and moving ceremonies at Gallipoli, on the Western Front in France and here in London. First to Robert Avadia at Sydney's Martin Place Cenotaph. Rob, has the rain deterred the crowds?
Well, Chris, fortunately the rain held off for tonight's service here in Martin Place. It poured, however, at dawn, and despite that, thousands of people packed into this place and into the cenotaph to honour our war dead, a gesture which has touched at the heart of our latest war hero, Ben Robert Smith, who took part in his very first march today.
A lone voice in the darkness, an echo from generations past.
We wish to be worthy of their great sacrifice.
The rain fell, but nobody cared. The damp and lack of sleep were just small sacrifices.
We pray that the offering of their lives may not have been in vain.
Lives like that of Captain McLeod, a letter to his soulmate, survived World War I. He did not.
It is better to die for you and the country than to be a cheat of the empire. God be with you, love of all time. Remember me to the baby when she is born.
We all remembered.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
So solemn, but the march, that was upbeat.
Thank you! Thank you!
I'm betting that you wouldn't miss this for anything.
Wouldn't miss it for the world. Every year, never miss a year. Every year.
Cecil Biddle has done this for decades.
The Second World War.
That's a long time.
Yes. And the slowed me down a bit, it should be up there. Unfortunately, you don't see as many of your mates as you used to.
Pat is still here. Yes, that was a cheeky wink, and he likes to sing too. A march for veterans and for the men and women serving today.
You proud? Very proud of Daddy?
Ben Robert Smith is one of them, our latest Victoria Cross recipient honoured at the ANZAC Day Cup, but honoured so much more to march alongside men once as true of limb as he is.
So to be a part of that with them is very special to me.
Special for many. Robert Avadia, 7 News.
Here in London, the Anzacs are being remembered at several services, including one underway now at Westminster Abbey. Adrian Brown is there, and Adrian, so is the New Zealand Prime Minister.
That is right. John Key is the guest of honour. His day beginning with the dawn service at the Australian War Memorial in Hyde Park. More than 1,000 people were there, a larger crowd than usual. A short time ago, there was a wreath-laying ceremony at the Cenotaph just around the corner at Whitehall. And now the commemorative ANZAC Day service has begun here at Westminster Abbey.
At Gallipoli, where our troops landed 96 years ago today, thousands have reflected on the sacrifices made on the Turkish shore where the Anzac legend was born. Paul Caddack's at Anzac Cove. Paul, what was the mood like there at dawn?
Chris, it was a solemn and moving experience for the 6,500 people gathered here this morning after waiting together through the night. Numbers were down slightly on last year as anticipation grows for the centenary in 2015, because this will always be the place and here will always be the moment that defined our nation. In war, we came here by sea. In peace, it's on foot and through security.
Where are you from?
Gold Coast.
Darwin, Australia.
Sydney.
With our flags and our friends, pilgrims with pride.
We marched with Dad every Anzac Day when he was alive.
Now the Turks are armed protectors of one of the biggest gatherings of Australians overseas.
Program, warm hats, poncho.
When Brad Smart gets home, he's joining the army. The reasons are right here.
Courage, mateship, passion, bravery.
People paying their respects in different ways. Aussies together. It's an adventure.
You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
But with the setting sun, thoughts dwell on those other young Australians who came here, hoping for adventure. People have come here to learn what the Anzac story has to teach, and you can do that by simply looking around. This crowd, all these faces, it's about 7,000 people. The number of Australians killed at Gallipoli was 8,709. The lesson is sacrifice on a scale our nation had never seen. Those cliffs they charged were lit up in the darkness, a light soon replaced by the dawn. When soldiers stepped ashore and a legend was born under fire.
They fought for one another. From the tragedy and sacrifice, they learnt the strength and importance of mateship, love for one another.
The former enemy now embraced.
Your sons are now lying in our bosom. After having lost their lives on this land, they have become our sons as well.
The duty of the dead is done. It is up to the living to remember. From Gallipoli's shores to the heights of Lone Pine, where Australians fought so fiercely, they pledged never to forget. At Gallipoli, Paul Caddack, 7 News.
On the Western Front in France, our diggers have been remembered for helping stop the Germans' last major advance in World War I. Chris Reason is at the Australian Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux. Chris, how significant was today's dawn service?
Well, very significant. In contrast to Gallipoli, the Villers-Bretonneux was a major victory for the Australian Army and subsequently the site of the National Memorial for all of those lost on the Western Front. But dawn services here have only begun 4 years ago, yet they continue to get bigger with each year.
They were the first to arrive, 3 mates, soldiers, straight from the front line of Afghanistan.
I'm just incredibly thankful of being part of the Australian Army now instead of back then, because what they were asked to do was just incredible.
Few have a connection to this place like Trooper Russell Woodward, a direct descendant of Simon Fraser, the soldier immortalised in the Western Front's most famous statue, Cobbers.
I hope that if I'm ever in a situation where I'm required to drag my mates out of trouble, I can rise to the standard he set.
4,000 more would follow him into this war cemetery, Australians who'd return home, paying tribute to those who did not. The last to enter here, the Federation Guard. All around them, powerful reminders of the loss. 46,000 diggers killed on the Western Front alone.
For such was the price of freedom. Its price has always been high. It always will.
Unlike Gallipoli, the battle at Villers-Bretonneux was a triumph. It saved the town and helped end the war.
France will never forget the engagement of the Australian people in the defence of our liberty.
No living memory of our First World War battles survives today. The diggers, of course, have long since passed. But any fears that their sacrifice would be forgotten have long passed too.
We will remember them.
Officials confirmed attendance figures here had jumped again. As the years multiply, so does the interest.
Very moving. Don't think I'll ever forget it.
It's amazing. Yeah, it was pretty powerful, pretty touching.
In Villers-Bretonneux, Chris Reason, 7 News.
We go with this hope, knowing the history of it, the present reality of it, and the certainty of the hope that we have
to come. It's a time when we also remember those who came after them, men and women who served their nation, inspired by that spirit of the original Anzacs, and some paying the ultimate.
Nations of all allied nations of Australia and New Zealand who are still dying and who are still suffering, and their families. On the morning of April 25th in 1915, Australian and New Zealand troops landed under fire at Gallipoli.
Hand to this boat, the torch, for yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, you shall not sleep, though poppy crows.
Regardless of rank or status, all equal, all painstakingly and deeply kept with the care and honor
in our peace. After having lost their lives on this land, they have become our sons as well.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Age shall not wear them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we shall remember them.